Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday morning to you, the 26th of January, 2021, in year two of Cornholio. One of the most often asked questions that I get here on YouTube, especially amongst the legions of people who are new to the community, who enjoy the community, who are repulsed by the community, embrace the community, is where did the BOYT come from? And what is the BOYT all about? And do you know any history of the BOYT? Yes, 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 I do. I wanted to talk about that today and give a little bit of the deep background on the BOYT, because I consider it really one of the first online streaming communities that was built really around the recreational vehicle, or the RV. Let's go back in time, and this marks 6 years on, quote, the BOYT for me. And of course, 6 years ago, there was no BOYT at all, okay? It was a group of people that came together under a live streamer by the name of Rosie who had a Class A RV, and he managed to attract a group of people that had an interest in RVing. And there were people that were static nomadics, and nomads, in other words, they didn't go anywhere. They lived in RV parks. They would drive down to Florida, find a place to park their van in an RV park, and engage in the RV community that way. There were other people that were nomads and on the go that lived, at least at that time, part-time in their RVs. And there were people like Eric Jacobs, Nomadic Fanatic, that were really full-time nomads that were out and about, traveling all different places. A lot of other ones, Mike Living Free and Wanderlust Estate, to name a few, and they were very much interested in the idea of RVing. And to this day, the RV, whether it be a Class B camper van, a conversion van, a Class A, or Class C, still remains the very faint backbone of what drives the BOYT community. What you also have to note is that the BOYT, unlike other communities like drama and true crime, it's always been a community that's kind of on the go, people doing things, as I said, with RVs, which remains kind of a distinction today in the community. A lot of people on cam going about their business, a lot of them in RVs, and a lot of people on the side chats enjoying the daily dust-ups on the BOYT. But let's go back to my origins on the BOYT. And of course, as I said at the beginning, there was no BOYT in the beginning. It was a collection of people that showed up for Friday night hangouts on Rory Nadav's panel. And in late January of 2015, I first discovered this community. Why? Because I was interested in purchasing an RV, and there seemed to be a real wealth of knowledge within this group of people, and I was naturally attracted. Now, being trans, I was okay. How am I gonna get into this community, or how am I going to find my place here? The other important thing to note is, until 2000 and late 2014 into 2015, if you did live streams, they were done on Google Hangouts, and after the live streams were over, they disappeared. They didn't get archived. They didn't get saved. They didn't go over to YouTube. And when it first came in late 2014, 2015, that you could move, that these would migrate to YouTube and be saved as watchable after the fact live stream events, was very novel on YouTube. This was before the drama community. This was before true crime. You go look at some of the keystone people in those communities, And they really didn't start live streaming till about 4 years ago, whereas about 6 years ago, the live streaming in this RV community and saving over to BOYT, what we call BOYT today, was already taking place. Okay, so it's a very long established community. And when they call Jory Nadab the father of the BOYT, there's a lot of truth to that, because you can't establish anybody that was really having live streams in a savable way before him. Well, into that January of 2015, as I said, I discovered this RVing community, and it was the only place on YouTube that I could find live streams about the RVs. Well, like any community, this RV community is going to change over time. And in April of 2015, very determined to get an RV, I pushed that button to enter that live stream, and well, the rest for me was history. Okay, and that was in April of 2015. And I have to say, I was accepted and became integrated with that group, and really look forward to those Friday night hangouts. They were very popular. Used to be consistently 10 people on panel. Those were the times that YouTube didn't require you to use another platform if you were going to stream. They provided all the bells and whistles to do that. Now, did I buy an RV? Yes, I did. I think in July of 2015 or August, yes, I bought my first RV, the Rolling Rancho, a 1974 GMC motorhome. So I felt, okay, I'm right at home. Well, as I said before, any community is going to grow or expand. And after a bit, I know in my particular community, people that I used to hang out with before and do private live streams, the Nicolescas and others, came over and also started hanging out in this community. The Francises, there's quite a few others, the Amanda Mays. And they discovered this community, and then people started coming in talking non-RV subjects. And this was really where the BOYT began. Because at that time, in the summer of 2015, when the RV live stream community started to be, I don't want to say infiltrated, because that sounds like a rough, kind of a bad term, but more people started to discover this community. And it brought in people, the Vegas Vixens, the Corey Sofuggets, the Glamorous Life, and other people that really didn't have any interest in RVing, but liked the concept of the live stream hangouts. And therein, a lot of the controversy started to erupt. I think as much as Jory Nadab wanted to expand and have new people on panel, you couldn't really control the subject matter after a certain point in time. And there started to be some conflict within the community, to the point that it caught the attention of really what I would call the first commentator on live streams that I knew of, that would parody and poke fun at what he called making fun of the self-important on YouTube. And of course, that was, him as Vlogger Puppets, but it was Vlogger Frog at that time. And Elvis and I were really the first ones, along with Jory, that were parodied and puppetized at that time in 2015. And the reason I think it caught his attention is the mix of people down there, and the interesting lives that they seem to lead. Are we self-important? Yeah, I guess you could argue. Everybody thinks that they're self-important, right? Well, after a while, he came up with this term. Vlogger Frogs at that time came up with the term bottom of YouTube, and it stuck. Now, there's no doubt that he was attracted to the community and followed the community because to him, whether deny it or not, it was an interesting community to watch. But the other feature that was born of that era too in 2015 was people taking it to real life. And the reason that some people would take it to real life is it's the first community that I ever heard the term EBagging occurring in there. And there were some people would do GoFundMes for things like solar panels. They never delivered on the purchase of solar panels. Other people, another guy sold his RV to an elderly couple, and it was termed a death trap, and would ask for donations and things like that. And that riled some people the wrong way, as it still does today, asking for donations and getting support on your channel. It became a lightning rod for some people that thought that there was a lot of scam going on in these activities. And there certainly was to some extent. But commenting and then taking it to real life were two different things. When I was there in the nucleus of the founding of the BOYT in that summer of 2015, I never knew what doxing was. Never even heard that term before. I never knew that people would pull background checks on people and start tearing into people's real lives. And that was a real eye opener to me, that people would be so wrapped in these communities that things like that could occur. Now, did they have reason to do so in their own thinking? Yes, they did. Because they did not like the concept that as people began to go live and other live streams developed and went on the YouTube, people discovered that it was a platform where you could leverage yourself. In other words, one person getting across dozens, a couple hundred people at that time watching the streams. And they also soon discovered that it was a great place within this community to raise money and funds and things like that. And I certainly became a part of that on the fundraising side, because at that time in joining the BOYT, I had a lot more faith in the community that people would do what they said they were going to do when monies were raised. And I took on some kooky causes. A guy that wanted to drive around the perimeter of the United States with his two dogs in tow on his bike, helping people secure wheelchairs, helping people secure medicines for their eyes after surgery, just item after item. And a lot of them ended up blowing up and causing a lot of problems. And of course, with problems comes controversy, and with controversy comes views. And after about, I would say about April of 2015, Drury decided to hang up the idea of doing hangouts anymore. And about by June, we sat in kind of a flux situation. About in June, I started firing up my own Saturday and Wednesday hangouts, and they're demonstrably, they're the oldest hangouts that are still up on the channel, dating back to 2015. So it's formed a perfect archive of the history of the BOYT. You can't find another community that has longer established hangouts that are still in the public viewing domain than there. Well, you can guess the rest of the story. As time went on, the divisiveness about EBagging really started to split the community in two. The preppers started coming in, the prepper community, and they started to have ideas and opinions about whether it was right to use the platform to raise money or not. Okay, and this led to a huge split in the community. And I think it was one of the reasons that Drury hung it up in April of 2015, because it seemed to be a way, it didn't seem to be any way that you were going to heal this community. So people started splintering off, like me and some other people, in doing their own live streams. But we were still affiliated and still kind of bound by the idea of the RV. One gal lived in would broadcast from a pop-up on her pop-up camper on her property, and you just had all kinds of people doing their own live streams and things. Well, we proceeded forward in there, and the community grew around my Saturday and my Wednesday hangouts, and they became a staple of the community until in, say, late 2017. It just got a little much for me, because other people were coming into the community. Elvis Travels came under the gun at that time, and the community expanded dramatically in late 2017 and into 2018. And well, the rest is history. It grows and grows. You have people that are BOYT deniers. I don't like the BOYT. Well, let's see. It's Monday. I like the BOYT. Now it's Tuesday. I hate the BOYT. It's Wednesday. I'm not part of the BOYT. Thursday, yes, I'm the king of the BOYT. Friday, I can't stand. We're going to develop a new community, and it has grown and grown and grown accordingly as its own standalone, very large community now, with thousands of people in the BOYT that are either repulsed by the content or enjoy the content down there, because there's always something going on. And it's, as I said, the BOYT is a community on the move. Now, you can do your research yourself, and you can determine for yourself that the BOYT is the oldest surviving live stream community, and going back to 2015. And for me, this is really the 6-year anniversary. Not discovering the BOYT because the term was unknown at that time, but joining a collection of people and starting to follow them prior to coming on panel in April of 2015. It was a community that later became and morphed into the BOYT that you either love or hate today. Now, the other secondary question is, what do you consider OG on the BOYT? Well, if you were, in my mind, whether you were on panel in 2015 in the spring and summer of 2015, or in the side chat at that time, in a regular chatter, I really consider those people OG BOYT. Yes, a lot of people claim the status today. A lot of people that I don't even remember ever seeing him in the chat at that particular time. Now, you either love it or hate it, right? So, it's either a lousy place where you have your affiliation, or it's a place that you don't like. But to me, that's the definition and the defining aspect that makes somebody an OG BOYT or not. Now, you can, okay, we had the class of 2016 was a calm year. 2017 was a total shit show at that time, and we would go in these waves. But with each and every one of them came a strong bit of growth. An interesting community, you bet. But since this I get consistently asked about BOYT and the roots of BOYT. Forget, the name came from Vlogger Frogs, aka Vlogger Puppet, really the first social commentator that put a name or an acronym, BOYT, the bottom of YouTube, on this community. And his tagline then was mocking the self-important on YouTube. There's probably a lot to that, but it was never in a super harsh or negative way. You may not like what you see on your parody, but the reality is it's probably a pretty good reflection of me and others on that community. So yeah, for me, this is about 6 years. the roots of BOYT, and where do we go from here? Well, we have a lot of new people, as you know, come into the community. The community grows. Is the BOYT dead? No, the BOYT is never dead, because the BOYT is an idea that attracts people to it. And if you become integrated in the community and you start crossing over and establishing contacts with other people, well, you're helping to expand the BOYT, whether you acknowledge it or not. Well, that's 20 minutes here. I'm going to close it out. Of course, your comments are welcome down below. And as usual, I thank you for watching, and thumbs up are appreciated as we have this little foray into the roots of BOYT and my 6 years, well, starting in the pre-BOYT community. Thanks, everybody.